What's up, y'all? This is Mele Mel, the legendary Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, aka Muscles in the building. I'd like to thank all of y'all that congratulated Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five for us being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So, it was definitely a big moment, and I'm well appreciated of all, the thanks and the big ups and the pats on the back that everybody gave us. So, I just like to just put that out there. Number one, I definitely appreciate it, and it's because it's a blessing for all of us. And getting down to the meat of what this post is going to be about, which is what everybody's talking about. Old brother Don Imus, you know what I mean? I think my take on it is very simple. What it was, in its simplest form, it was a joke that went bad. And then once everybody started politicizing the situation, then that just made something like a guy telling jokes, and everybody could tell a joke, and then whether you like the joke or whether you got the joke, whether you appreciate the joke or you didn't, it's it's up to everybody's personal feelings. It's a free country, you can feel how you want to feel, so that's one thing. But then when everybody started politicizing the fact, it's like you got brothers like Jesse and Al, which I have great respect for Jesse and tremendous amount of respect for Al Sharpton. But what they did was they just took it upon themselves to take what he said personally from him and made it into this whole big crusade that just politicized the whole thing, to whereas if it would have been just something as simple as Don Imus apologizes, he writes the girl a check, he still keeps his job, and then you keep it moving, it is no problem. But when they got into it, and then the right side of the whole equation got into it, and now it's all politicized, it comes down to sponsors, and then somebody loses their job when in essence, what Al and Jesse is doing is good in essence, because they spoke on issues like that before, as far as how the rappers use the profanity and all that, but it never went as far as anybody actually losing their job. They never spoke out that much about it. So for them to politicize it that much, to the point where now the girls are getting death threats, and it's just making a mountain out of something that's a molehill. Now, from where we all come from, bitches, hoes, niggas, that's like common language. Like the word hoe to a woman, and they would take it more personal than me. But the word hoe to me is almost like saying, look at that girl over there. Just like the word nigga is like, look at that dude over there. So it's like every word has a different meaning for everybody else. But I mean, in its simplest form, it all started out, and I want to just keep going back to the beginning. It all started out as a joke that went bad, and how the whole thing went. If you listen to it, he didn't say nappy head hoe as Don Imus saying nappy head hoe. He said he impersonated a black guy calling them a nappy head hoe. So that just brings it right back to what I'm saying again. This is language that we use to the point where he obviously thought that it was all right for him to use it. And then that's where the whole thing goes wrong. Because, I mean, if you're going to get the solution to the problem is how we feel about our own women. And then you wouldn't have a situation where a guy from another race would think that it's all right to call our women out of the name, when we would do it all the time. If I would have said that same thing, or if another black guy would have said that same thing, sure, people might have been upset, but I'm quite sure Jesse or Al would not have went out and purposely cost them their job. Because it's like I'm going back to what I said before. No black man in the history of history has lost his job for calling a woman a hoe. No, nobody that I know. If it happened, it was nobody that I know. And Al Sharpton and Jesse, which is two gentlemen that especially Al, who I have great respect for, they didn't have nothing to do with it. So now we could all use this situation, to take it to the next level and really clean up our own house about how we address our own situation, of how we treat our own women. And then when we can get some good self-respect for ourselves and our women, then it would be self-evident that somebody from another race could not call our women out of their names. We can do that, and I would be 100% behind Al and Jesse to go about doing that, because we all need to take to learn a lesson from this. We all need to check ourselves as far as how we address our women, and even the women need to, we all need to take a lesson, because this is. But the main thing is this: the political part of this whole thing, it should have had nothing to do with it. Because when you get in the political thing, now you're thinking about the White House. What I'm talking about is, let's take our time and clean up our house, and then it's all good. So then it ain't no more good jokes that went bad. It's just us cleaning up our house, and then once we check ourselves, then nobody from no other race could think that they could speak out of turn on anything. Because this just goes back to like how I would always tell people, well, you know, people have an uproar when a cop shoot a black guy in the neighborhood, but then if I would have shot that same black guy, nobody would have said nothing. It all boils down to the same premise. If I would have made a joke calling some girls and them same girls nappy head hoes, people would probably be upset, but nowhere near as upset to the point whereas I would have had lost my job. And that's the reality of it. You know what I mean? It wasn't you know, everybody has a right to feel how they want to feel, but the reality of the whole thing is it was a joke, first of all, and nobody should have taken it that far to where, you know, he apologized, you know, that's one thing, but nobody should have took it to that point where he lost his job because you wouldn't do it to a black guy. You know what I mean? So that's all of it in the simplest form. We need to spend more time. The NAACP got better things to do. I'm quite sure Al and Jesse got a lot more better things to do than to watch whatever comes out of a white guy's mouth and then nail him to the wall for it, but then they don't hold the brother's feet to the same fire. You know what I mean? So and if we go about doing that, then the whole situation would alleviate itself than just, you know, then you just trying to politicize a situation that's just very individual. He told a joke, then he should be accounted for it, and not just, okay, well, we're going to go on this whole big crusade to make sure that nobody, because you should have been doing that. You're going to wait till right now to do something that you should have did 10 or 15 years ago when you know, when the talk and when that attitude just became prevalent. So, I mean, just taking it on just the simplest form. Let's clean up our house and then not worry about the White House. That's just it. I'm Mele Mel, and that's how I feel.